Welcome to the Amee and D podcast. I'm your host, Amee Widders. This is my co-host and husband, D. Widders.
D. Winners?
Have you ever had an intrusive thought?
What's an intrusive thought?
Wow. Take that as a no.
Well, I don't know. I feel like
You've never heard that? Intrusive
I
thoughts?
feel like those are 2024 words.
What if you had to guess what an intrusive thought is, what do you think it would be?
So intrusive, I think of intruder, so like somebody coming into your house that's not supposed to be in your house.
Good.
And then, you ever seen that one video? It's like this guy set his Alexa, so like Alexa intruder alert, and then it turns all the lights in the house red, and then it plays that one song. It's like, let the bodies hit the floor.
I've never seen that.
Which when I hear the word intruder, I think of that. Like, turn the lights off. It's time to kill whoever's coming in the house.
So, intrusive thought, take that. And what do you think that means?
So then that would be like a thought that comes into your head, right? That you have to kill.
That you didn't ask to come in.
To come in.
So the definition is an unwanted, involuntary thought, image, or idea that can pop into your mind unexpectedly. These thoughts are often disturbing, distressing, or even contrary to your values and beliefs, which can make them unsettling. They're typically brief, but can be repetitive, and while they're common for everyone, people with anxiety, OCD, or depression may experience them more frequently or find them harder to ignore. I would also say people with traumas, I know you hate that word, like infidelity, betrayal, tend to get intrusive thoughts. So I'll ask you again. Have you ever had an intrusive thought?
Yeah, all day, every day.
What?
I feel like I have 10 conversations going on inside my head at all times.
That are intrusive thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like you think about crazy stuff all day long, and then you have to stop thinking about them. Or, like the Bible says, take every thought captive, make it submit to the perfect will of God.
Wow, the things you learn.
Yeah, I think about crazy stuff all the time.
I do too, but...
What do you think? This needs to be about 2 inches away from your face. This is like our 30th episode. Make it easy for me, man, when I'm trying to edit these videos.
Look, I gotta try not to blink so much. I gotta try not to interrupt. I gotta try to remember the things that are in my brain so I don't interrupt. There's a lot going on. Now I gotta make sure this is 2.2 inches, whatever, away from my mouth, tilted at a certain angle.
You running out of breath?
Ain't got time for that, fool.
All right. What'd you ask me?
So you have intrusive thoughts regularly?
Yes.
Like crazy stuff?
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah. I feel like the only time my brain shuts off is when I get into like an ice bath or something. I'm
not talking about like weird random things. I don't think you understand what an intrusive thought is.
I definitely understand. I think about crazy stuff all day long. I think about crazy stuff during worship at church or sitting there during church. It doesn't matter. I'll be cutting hair thinking of crazy stuff. I've had a crazy life.
All right. So what was your most intrusive thought today?
Probably like when people hurt you and I want to just like slap somebody, but I feel like that's probably my number one intrusive thought is people doing stuff to people I care about and wanting to slap them, or people doing stuff to me and I want to slap the person, because I think a lot of people do things and they don't realize like there should be consequences, and then I have to think like, okay, look at all things God and Amee and people have forgiven you for. So do they deserve to get slapped? Yes. Do I deserve to get slapped? Yes. Should we slap people? No. It's not really going to help in the long run. But yeah, I think my number one intrusive thought is like when people I feel like people are getting over on me and I just want to hit them upside the head.
All right.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't really have intrusive thoughts like that. I mean,
what sparked this whole idea for this podcast episode?
because people were asking me, what did I do, or do I still have intrusive thoughts pertaining to like the infidelity and the betrayal? And when I would get intrusive thoughts, what would I do to cope with those intrusive thoughts?
So
And
we should be
so,
asking you, not me.
well, I wanted to see if you knew what an intrusive thought was, first off. And now I've come to learn that you have these crazy intrusive thoughts all the time, which I get weird thoughts all the time too, but I don't know if they're necessarily intrusive. Like when I used to get intrusive thoughts with like the cheating and the betrayal, those were friggin' debilitating. I don't really get thoughts like that anymore. Like there's times, you be at a stoplight and then you be like, wonder what would happen if I just ran right through traffic right now and killed all of us. Stuff like that.
We're the same person.
You think about that?
I think
Or
about
like
crazy stuff all the
if the
time.
kids are quiet downstairs, I'm like, oh shoot, one of them probably took one of them knives that's on the countertop and they cut each other up, or like crazy stuff. Or like when I carry Sunny downstairs, I'm like, oh God, what if she bashes her head on this banister and splits her skull in two? Like crazy stuff like that. And I never used to have thoughts like that until I became a mom. It's like, think of the worst case scenario with everything and it drives you nuts. And I've talked to other moms about this too. That's like a thing. But I don't get intrusive thoughts about you cheating anymore. I haven't for years now.
Well, what if you're gonna help somebody that is being cheated on right now or going through that? What are some of those intrusive thoughts, and then how
You
did
like
you?
make up stuff in your head, or like the stuff you found gets like replayed in your head like a movie that you don't want to watch. Like you picture like you two doing stuff together, or like the letter you found or the text messages you read, like stuff like that'll just randomly like pop up and replay in your mind, and you'll just be like, ugh, like just like totally grosses you out. And sometimes I would just deal with it in my own way, and other times I would like approach you about it, because if I was able to ask you questions about it and you would answer me, then I wouldn't have to like imagine stuff in my brain. I would just know, instead of like making stuff up in my head about like what happened, or just so like I feel like you didn't get something over on me, or like nothing's in the dark. Like as nasty as all that stuff was, I just wanted to know like everything and the truth so that I wouldn't be surprised later on.
So when those intrusive thoughts would creep into your head about me cheating, how did you deal with them?
Uh, I would pray immediately for God to take those thoughts away from me, to like stop me obsessing over it and them, like the girls that I knew of. Um, like to be super transparent, there were times where like every day I was checking homegirl's page to like see if there was any incriminating evidence of like traces of you or something, or like little clues that she would leave that you guys were still talking and stuff like that. So I would like immediately pray those thoughts away to like stop obsessing about it, to stop thinking about it. And then like the more and more I did that over time, like the less and less I'd get those thoughts. I would put worship on when I would get an intrusive thought. I would go for a walk, like a prayer walk, and just like talk to God about everything. I would journal sometimes, like just to put my thoughts on paper and like get them out if I didn't want to talk to you about it. I would color. Coloring actually can help alleviate stress in your body. So that was like very therapeutic for me and would take my mind off of things, just sitting like coloring and listening to music and stuff, or like watching like nostalgic shows while I was doing it, like, like rom-coms or like movies from when I was a kid that made me feel good, or like TV shows just like calm me down and make me feel like safe. So like nerdy, but it helped.
I don't think it's nerdy. I think it's crazy how I was thinking about this last week, like just with everything going on, how going through really hard stuff sucks, but it like makes you better. And like I'm not afraid to go through hard things anymore. And it's crazy, like putting, like I obviously didn't know what love was. Like the way I was treating you is not like I was showing you that I love you, right?
at all.
at all. But
There were glimmers here and there, but yeah.
now, like, I'm so, like, I love you so much, and then it's like, man, you put somebody you really love through all this stuff, and like, thank God that you got through it to the other side. Like, it makes me believe in God even more, because there's no way you could have just got through that by yourself. Like, you didn't even talk to anybody really about it. Like,
I talk to God every day about it.
yeah.
But I didn't tell my family or really anybody about it because I was just in my head like if we're going to make it through this, like if this is true, like God is really going to push us through this and give me the person that he's like given me this vision of, then I can't tell anybody because they'll never love you the same. They'll never look at you the same. And they'll look at me like I'm stupid.
So, what would you like say to somebody who's in the middle of this right now, who's having those thoughts every day and is like scared, and doesn't feel like they're ever going to make it out of it? Because I feel like this could help people more than just like people who are getting cheated on. It can help anybody, I feel like, who's constantly thinking about stuff that is hurting them or has hurt them.
A lot of the people in the comments are like fresh from a betrayal, like a couple months or like a couple weeks or maybe like a year. And I would just say like you have to give yourself grace. This is a trauma. It's one of the, if not the worst things you can experience in your lifetime when you love somebody and they do this to you. And it has like, I mean, you're constantly in fight or flight. It causes a lot of stress on your body. It consumes you night and day, and that's not going to go away instantly. So I try to tell people like you have to give yourself grace and take it day by day and fill yourself up with the things that do bring you joy and do bring you happiness to kind of take your mind off of it. But the most important is like taking those thoughts captive when they come and praying and asking God to take them away from you and worshiping and getting in God's presence and like just doing things that will calm your body down. Because when you have an intrusive thought, or like at least for me, like I would get sick to my stomach. I would have the nervous poops. Like I would throw up. I remember one of the first times I found out I like projectile vomited. I was so sick to my stomach. And I'd never experienced that, like being so hurt and having that like response from my body. So I would just say it's a process. Like most people that have dealt with infidelity and betrayal, it takes between like 2.5 to 3 years to fully heal. So you have to give yourself grace and be kind to yourself because if you don't, like, who is? Who's gonna, you know?
So there's like different people, right? Like, there's people who, like us, who God got us through it, right? And then there's people who don't have God that are going through it. And then there's people who didn't stay together, right? So, like, how can you, what's something that you could teach all three of those types of people
Well,
to
I
get?
actually said this in the live, which was like, and if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, you need one.
Hmm.
Like, if you don't believe in God, start believing in God because God is going to give you the strength. God is going to give you the wisdom, the direction, the guidance on what the next step is. And you need to get as close to Him as possible, especially with something like this. Like, He's near to the brokenhearted. He hears you. He's with you, whether you know He is or not, or want Him to be or not. He is always with you. So get as close to God as possible because He is who is going to get you through it. And if you don't believe in God, start believing in God.
What's the first step, like, for somebody to believe in God?
Just talk to Him, man. I would sit in silence on the ground in the room and just talk to God about everything I was feeling, everything I was going through, how sad I was, how could this happen to me? Like what am I supposed to do, God? Like I would talk to God all day long. Like when I say I would talk to God all day long, I mean that. Like everything. I had nobody else to talk to. I had a little baby. Like I couldn't talk to him. So I would get in my word, I would worship, I would pray, and I would talk to God literally like he's my best friend. So get in a room by yourself, be quiet for a little bit and try to hear God, talk to God. I mean, he already knows what's on your heart, but like he wants you to tell him. He wants you to have that relationship with him. He wants to know all the things that you're feeling, how brokenhearted you are, the thoughts that you're having, because he wants to be able to comfort you and help you.
So how would you comfort somebody who's in that room? Like if you could be in a room with some of these people like that are going through this, what are some things you would tell them or say?
It is not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. There is no reason for somebody to cheat ever. If they're not happy in the relationship, then you break up and you go do what you want to do. Like, be open about not being able to be monogamous, but you can't blame yourself because it's not your fault and you didn't do anything wrong. And I know right now it seems like impossible, like you're never going to heal, like you're always going to be on edge, like you're always going to be anxious, but I promise it will heal with time and like with doing the work. And whether you're with that person or not after that work, like there is hope and there's healing on the other side, and it's going to be okay even though right now it doesn't feel like it.
I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
I know.
I forgave you. Did you ever have intrusive thoughts about this? Like, would you ever get flashbacks of you doing stuff like that and then be like, oh, like, and it make you sick or not really?
I would never think about like doing like the actual act. I would just
I don't know.
yeah, no, I would just I I think over the last whatever 6, 7 years. I left the club like 6 years ago, so 7 years, however long. I feel like not working at night, not taking pills, not drinking, not smoking weed, like not doing all those things. My brain started to change, and it would be more like you ever watch a movie and then it like the person's life like flashes before their eyes. I
Hmm.
would feel like that every day. It'd be like memories that like stopped, like I tried to bury, and they would pop up, and then I would have to like go to God with them like immediately, like
So wouldn't that technically be like intrusive thoughts, kind of?
yeah, or just intrusive memories, I guess. But when I think of intrusive thoughts, I think of like the enemy trying to plant seeds in your
Yeah, yeah,
head.
yeah.
But as far as like my memories and stuff
So like
go,
flashbacks.
yeah, but when it would come to those memories, if it was like something I did that was evil, or like I feel like God was showing me a lot of stuff where it's like, man, you don't deserve anything you have. You need to be thankful and grateful for everything you have. Because I think most cheaters don't realize how selfish they're being, and how them putting their like temporary like desires or pain, whatever they're going through, before like they're doing the right thing, how that destroys so many things, not only the other person that they're doing it to, but like it's destroying yourself.
Hmm.
Like it's not helping you at all to do that. It's literally like it's pushing you further and further away from like whatever's wrong with you, like healing.
And I would say the majority of people that cheat, there is some kind of something that's like a trigger for something. Like something had to have happened to them, whether it was in their childhood or like at some point in their life to make them be that way or be insecure or feel like they have to use people and manipulate people. I think what's the saying, like hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. I think that I think most people that cheat are insecure, and I think that it's a pride issue, which is like, to me, that's like the worst sin, when you have this pride in you where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't want anybody to get over on me, or I want to be in control. It's like a control issue. Like if you have a pride and a control issue, then that's just gonna bury you. Like you have to every day, even now, I have to pray like for God to destroy that in me, like that pride, that arrogance, like I don't want anything to do with that anymore. So I think it's like a daily repentance. It's a daily thing you need to go to God with. And there's certain things like I don't think about ever really, like I'm not going to drink or take pills or anything like that, but there's other things where it's like an anger issue or whatever, but you need to bring
You
those
never
things.
think about cheating?
No. No.
Ever?
No. I don't. I think most men have like a issue with lust, but I never like look at a female now and I'm like, oh, I want to smash or something like that, because I wasn't like that back then either.
I don't know. Now
Well,
I know.
that's not like how I was. It wasn't like every woman I see, I'm like, oh,
So then, what would start these like relationships?
I think that
Was it like a power thing or like, oh, I bet I could get her to do this type thing?
um, I'd have to think about it more to give you like a deep answer, but just off the top of my head, I think that most of it was like a insecurity, like a power thing, but also I think most sin in general is like you have easy access to something.
Yeah.
So, like for example, I used to struggle with taking Percocets and morphine. So if I had, like, they would prescribe me 150 Percocets and 90 morphine pills every month. So you have access to that stuff, you're gonna take it. We worked in a strip club, so it's like you have access to alcohol, you have access to naked women, you have access to unlimited money, like all these
All
things.
the
If
sins.
you're yeah, if you're putting yourself in an environment, you need to put yourself in an environment to win. Like those environments, it's a guarantee that I don't care who you are.
I
Like,
know. Sometimes when I look back, I'm like, girl, how did you think he would ever be faithful, like in the environment that y'all worked in? Like, there's no way.
yeah, but there's, I look at people like Keela or like just certain people who, like, that environment didn't really change them. Like they just came to work, they took care of their responsibilities, their family. Yeah, yeah. I look at you like you got out and didn't come back. Thank God. But
Well,
yeah,
they wouldn't let me come back. I wanted to come back, but
but yeah, I think that was a God thing.
totally.
Um, but yeah, I think I don't know. I don't ever. I would. It's weird
I
getting
don't
like
know.
it's weird getting offered to like go work at a club or like stuff like that now, and I'm just like, bruh, I would rather die.
Oh, you know what else? A lot of people were asking me recently this week, and I don't know why it even needs to be said, but like, so if he cheated again, would you just forgive him? And yes, I would forgive you, but I would not take you back. So just want to say that for the record. I know you hate that, but people were asking me that a lot also.
Yeah, just like if you cheated on me now, like I don't know. I don't.
Oh, that is another question also. I guarantee if you cheated on him, he wouldn't forgive you and take you back.
I don't really don't. I don't like hypothetical things because it's like
I would never do that.
if I was 5 inches taller, I would play in the NBA. Like it's like we're a
Back then, I think, actually, I really don't know. Like back then, I don't think there is any way you would have taken me back. You'd have been like, hell nah.
which is funny because I don't agree with you. Back then, I would have taken you back. Now, it would be I would, but it would be more for
You
like
would?
it'd be more for our
Because it'd be
fan.
my first offense?
Are you gonna let me
Sorry,
get this
sorry,
thought
sorry,
up out of
sorry,
my head?
sorry, sorry. Sorry, guys.
No,
I was trying not to blink.
I would take you back because I feel like if you cheated on me now, it would be like I don't know. I don't.
I could not picture myself doing that. I don't even put myself in positions where that would even be possible. And there is no man that I've been ever like, ooh, I wonder what that would be like. I'm always like, oh, I just want to go kick it with my man.
Yeah, you're like the most loyal
Which
female.
I think is like another reason why it hurt me so bad. Like, dang, I was so down for him. Like,
But there was a point in our relationship where I did think that you cheated on me, and I you went over to your ex-boyfriend's house,
oh,
and there and you
yeah.
like you it was like his dad passed away. You left him like a
And
card.
I had to give him back our dog.
Yeah.
And so I had to go bring dog food because he like couldn't afford dog food or something at the time. And his dad had just passed away. And his dad was like my dude.
Yeah, and I was insecure, so and I had been cheated on before. So I was like, she definitely did something over there.
Dang, so it was my fault that you started cheating on me?
No, I didn't cheat on you for a long time after that,
Mm,
but I did think that you did. So it took me a long, and plus I had my best friend in my head,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I had like it was a
He
horrible.
lied on me all kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it was hard for me to trust any female. My mom freaking left me when I was 6, and freaking my girlfriend from high school was cheating on me while my mom was dying in the hospital. So it was hard for me to trust any female. But
I went about that situation the wrong way though, even though nothing happened. Uh,
but we were
I could
also
have
like
been more honest
23
about
years
it.
old too,
Yeah,
and we were dumb. Like I had like a 1 year old daughter. Like we were young and stupid.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
I wouldn't expect you to take me back. That there would be so much shame if I did that. I feel like if you did that now too, there would be like so much shame and it would be so much more heartbreaking now, I think, because of like the foundation we have now and we have like all these kids.
yeah.
Oh, it would
I
be
don't
so
see.
sad.
There's too many like things, too many like layers. Either one of us would have to fall through.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening.
So I think that could help people too. It's like you need to build like the foundation has to be Jesus, but after you start building on top of that, you start to build these things to where it's impossible for those things to happen. And that's how you get that trust back. And both people need to trust each other. Like, yes, I had to earn your trust back, but I have to trust you too. Like, and I think that's
I
one of
think communication is very important also. Like when you get those feelings or when things aren't good, like you guys need to learn how to like effectively constructively communicate when you have a conflict or if someone's getting that intrusive thought, because a lot of these women that had mentioned the intrusive thoughts also told me that their person was like getting angry about it. And I do remember in the beginning there were plenty of times where you would kind of get like that and be like, why do we have to keep talking about this? Like, I don't want to answer this, I don't want to get in a fight. But I don't think people realize, or at least for me, I needed to talk about it to feel better. I needed to know what the truth was so that I would stop making things up in my brain and I would just know, even if it was like a really hard thing to hear. I would rather know the truth than keep making up all these scenarios in my brain.
Yeah, and I think most of the time the cheater is so selfish that they don't want to feel that little bit of pain they're gonna have to feel by telling the truth. They
Yeah.
would rather yell or make the person feel like they're crazy or something like
Hmm.
that instead of just manning or be womaning up and just tell the truth so that you could get through it. That I think is like my best advice that I could give to anybody is just tell the truth, because the only way that you're going to stay with that person is if it's God's will and that person is like willing to put in the work with you. You have to, the truth is like dropping a bomb that is going to clear everything out. And then when the dust settles, you can start to rebuild.
Yeah, that's good.
But you can't rebuild if you don't tell the truth. That there's no way. That's impossible. Because
Well
then
said.
it's going to come out eventually.
Yep, it always does.
Yep.
What's done in the dark will always come to the light.
I'd like to do some stuff in the dark.
Yeah, stuff.
I'd like to do some stuff with you in the dark.
Okay. I think that was good. That pretty much summed it up. I didn't have no key points. I kind of just wanted to like have a conversation about it and get your thoughts on it.
How did you get to where?
Like that you've asking me all these questions.
How did you get to like where it was okay for me to touch you again and like us be intimate and have sex and stuff like that?
I think that was a process too. There's this thing that I just learned that's called hysterical bonding, which is like when you actually want to do it with a person all the time and stuff like that. And it's like because you feel like you're going to lose that relationship if you don't. So I definitely think I had hysterical bonding, especially when I first found out. Like there were things I let you do that like I never would like. That when I look back now, I'm like, oh, that's so sad that like I thought I had to do that to like get you to stay. And you ended up leaving anyway, so it didn't really matter. But that's called hysterical bonding. Like when you actually are like excessively doing it with that person and wanting to be close to them because you're so afraid that you're going to lose them. So I like we had periods of that, and then there were periods where I like get away from me, do not touch me, like you're disgusting, don't do anything to me. And then there'd be times where like some days I would want to, and then the next day be like, ew, why did we do that? But I think it's a something you have to continuously communicate. Like, oh, last night was cool, but now today I feel disgusting or I feel like we shouldn't have done that. And I think when you keep those lines of communication open and you guys can do it in a way where it like doesn't turn into an argument or like you guys are getting defensive, that can be super helpful in your healing process also, cuz I think there's going to be setbacks, but you have to give yourself grace for that too, like just get back up and keep trying.
Yeah, I think people need to realize that either way, whether you stay with the person or not, it's gonna take a lot of like internal work, and it's worth it. Either way, it's worth it. But you can't just expect yourself to get better if you're not doing the work that it takes to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
See you in the next episode.
sounds good to me. Like, comment, subscribe, share. If you have any questions, suggestions on podcast episodes, please drop them in the comments. And yes, we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.